Let me have your attention for a minute. This is something for the ladies. I'm chilling with the queens of the Stone Age.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Queens of the Stone Age Season 2 finale. I am here today with Antony Young, who is our designer and everything at Mary Jane. He does like 9 jobs, and he's great. Hi, Antony.
Hi, Mira. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
You saved the best for last.
So that's true. He's my favorite guest. Don't tell the other guests. So season 2 is coming to a close. This is our last episode. How was it for you, Antony? Antony has been behind the scenes of the show, doing the set decoration, which he did with like $100 from Spencer's Gifts. So round of applause for Antony.
We did it together.
And I just got a note from my producer saying I have to introduce myself, which is crazy. I mean, why would I ever do that? My name is Mira Gonzalez. I'm the host of Queens of the Stone Age.
Who's that bitch?
Yeah, who is that bitch? Queens of the Stone Age is a podcast produced by Mary Jane, which is Snoop Dogg's media network. My producer's laughing so hard. I'm like, do we cut? Do we not cut? But I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep it going. It is a cannabis-focused media network founded by Snoop Dogg. We do writing and videos and podcasts like the one that you're currently watching.
Yes.
And Queens of the Stone Age is the show where we smoke weed and talk about whatever the fuck we want. Because that's what I do every day anyways.
We talk about some random shit on this episode, probably. I'm prepared.
Yeah, true. And so now that season 2 is coming to a close, I want to remind everybody, once again, please subscribe and like us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube and like wherever else you listen to podcasts.
Instagram.
And leave comments saying like, wow, Mira's so cool. We really want a season 3 and please pay her $1 million for every episode. And pay Antony $1 million just for being Antony.
We'll get a sicker room next season. Just wait, you guys.
So, Antony, this is your first experience working on a podcast. Is that right?
Second. I was on a radio show, Not Another Model.
Are you a model?
No, I'm
So
not
you're-
another model.
Right. So you're not another model.
Yeah.
You're not a
Not
model at
another-
all, in
yeah,
fact.
but I know a bunch of models. So
Uh-huh.
I used to watch like every season of America's Next Top Model. So
And-
I consider myself
knowledgeable
yeah.
about models. And so what was your favorite episode this season?
I would have to say the one with Janice and I and you.
So we had an episode, if you guys didn't know, where we did relationship advice from Reddit. That was very fun. We'll have
Valentine's Day.
We'll have some clips on that later. And oh my God, did I forget to shout out the Green Angels? Man, I'm fucking up this episode. Wow. Season 2 finale. Woo! So we're smoking some weed from the Green Angels, who are an all-female delivery service in Los Angeles. You can check out their website at greenangels.buzz, www.greenangels.buzz, where you can sign up to get some lovely weed delivered to you. I do it all the time. It's the place where I buy all of my weed, and I'm a pretty heavy smoker. Good prices.
Today we got this like Angel Punch, which has Angel from Buffy on it. So I love him.
I love him too. My grandpa directed a lot of episodes of Angel. Weirdly,
Did you watch Buffy though?
I did. I watched all of Buffy. I only watched a couple episodes of Angel.
I cried when she killed herself to save the world.
Did that? I don't even remember that.
That was the end of the. She had to
Wow.
kill herself to
That
save
is like
society.
the biggest spoiler that you could have possibly said about Buffy right
I wrote
now.
about it in my like 4th grade journal.
Like we gotta like edit in like a warning. Like if you haven't seen the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like don't listen to what Anthony's about to say.
It's a tearjerker.
It's a tearjerker. So
But
she
you
kills
have-
herself at the end, huh?
You have to watch like 15 seasons of it though. It's like pretty gnarly. You have to. I invested so much time.
Okay, so we have some highlights prepared for some of the best episodes of this season. Some of our favorite episodes, some little clips from episodes that had fun things that we all learned or fun things that happened. So you were saying that your favorite episode was obviously the one that you were on.
Yeah, I just thought it was really special and I felt really present.
Yeah, really present. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So we do have a clip from that episode as well. But I believe this first clip is from drumroll please. So our first little round of clips is going to be sort of more serious, more issues that people need to know about, less of so yours was
The
obviously
hardcore stuff.
Yeah, this is the real shit. This is the harsh truths.
Deep talks underneath the stars.
There you go. You got it. This is Deep Talks Underneath the Stars. Our new band. Our new emo band. All right, so our first clip is one of my favorite episodes with Conner Habib and Heather Berg. Conner Habib is a retired gay porn star and activist and writer and speech giver and just all around talent and fun guy. Heather Berg is I want to say a PhD. And she is a professor currently, I believe at USC, I want to say. And she has a forthcoming book that's going to be fucking sick and everyone should get it. So in this clip that we're about to watch, Conner speaks on some of the parts of sex work that are legal versus parts that are illegal. For example, porn versus prostitution. Porn is legal, prostitution is illegal. And why exactly that is and what it is about it.
And he actually really liked talking to you because like he says most people that don't know about sex work, they shouldn't be talking about it. But he like loved your talking.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. I'm flattered. I like his talking too. All right. Well, check out this clip. Let us know what you think. You know, in the cannabis industry and in the sex work industry, there are aspects of both of those lines of work that are legal. You know, pornography is technically legal and, you know, having a dispensary is technically legal. But then there's massive, massive gray areas where so much of it is totally criminalized and horrible. And so I would definitely be interested in what your guys' take is on why certain aspects of the sex work industry specifically and the cannabis industry too are legalized when other aspects are, you know, so tabooed. And, you know, obviously it's all tabooed for sex work, unfortunately. But, you know, why is it that pornography specifically is legal in certain circumstances and not legal in others?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we shouldn't forget that some of these hard-won battles for whether it's decriminalization of sex work, legalization of certain kinds of sex work, decriminalization, legalization of certain drug use and drugs, it's like and drug work. I think that the idea behind those hard-won, those came from. I mean, those came from a really active place that like people were really pushing. So it's like
and for decades,
yes, exactly. And in a lot of cases, we're guided by what I would say are radical politics. But then you get into it is linked to what you were just saying. You get into this place where, as soon as you get on the other side of that, people start practicing respectability politics because it's so precarious. I mean, you can barely blame certain people for doing that. It's so precarious that like
when you've been doing something illegal your whole life,
exactly. Exactly. But I also think that, like, you know, going back to what Heather was saying before about it being not productive, I would say that has a lot to do with the way these regulations take place. So as soon as something is seen as a threat to culture in one way or another, that's like the overriding corporate and economic structure, whatever. Like, say, okay. Sorry, I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
Are you good? We're not stoned yet.
Yeah. I kind of am. That's how easily I get stoned. Just like from smelling all this. Yeah, totally.
Are you really?
I might be. I don't know. Yeah, you've never heard me be like,
is that possible?
Yeah, like not like that.
No.
So I don't know if that's possible.
On the science.
I'm
I don't know.
a lightweight. This is the problem.
It might just be like the presence of the Snoop cutout.
Exactly.
And like, you know, all
I'm
of
really
that.
intimidated by him in the back of me.
People tell me my aura makes them stoned. So
what I would say is that these are drugs and sex are ways to alter your states of consciousness, right? Okay. And especially sex is constantly available to us, and pornography is always available to us. Whether we're watching on the screen, it's available to us in our imagination.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when we, start to masturbate or share porn with other people or whatever. So I think that these are two pathways that allow us to alter our states of consciousness. And so these are wars on consciousness that have been really threatening to people and institutions in power for a long time for various reasons. Because once you start to self-actualize by investigating your own consciousness and what is this and what's this, that really is a threat to power.
You realize work is bullshit.
Yes, exactly. Who the hell wants to go to work, right?
Nobody wants to go to work.
I want to go on an adventure with my mind and my body and my relationships
or I want to
other
have sex.
people.
I want to do drugs. I want to have fun.
Yeah, and so that really can. So it's, I think, when our economic system and the people and institutions in power find a way that they think they can kind of get in and control things. So I think sometimes what we call a win is actually them kind of realizing, but we know how to regulate.
Right,
now,
I can benefit off of this.
And so the only thing that protects us from that is realizing, again, one, that it's an engagement with our own consciousness, and two, keeping those alliances with the people that are doing the radical stuff and the radical activism alive, because that will protect us from them from encroaching on.
Yeah, and another part of this episode that I really loved was the part where Heather defines what productivity actually means in this context, and how that relates to the cannabis industry in terms of whether or not she would define it as productive, and what we can do to push it one way or the other. Check it out.
And I think that that in terms of like what this looks like for the world of weed, we should be really careful not to let pot become productive. So there's this real risk that this is now a release valve for workers who are being
We're going to end up
that.
working still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they hate it a little less because they can take a mint halfway through the day.
Right. Yeah, and I'm interested in we've all been using the word productive to describe a certain thing, and I wonder what would be your guys' definition of productive in this specific circumstance.
No, I think you should take that because you actually have a definition of it. So you should get it.
I mean, I think, if something is producing profit, then it is productive.
Productive sort of being like what would fit into a capitalist ideal of somebody who's successful, so to speak.
Successful, or just, I mean, I think the most productive workers are the least successful ones. They're people on the front lines.
Right.
Keep things running. So I think productive, is this producing wealth for capital?
Someone else.
And so to the extent that microdosing to get through a meeting can help you be a better worker, then that's a real risk.
Right.
Well, and I think...
Do we have every blooper?
Yeah, it's been a really long season. It's been a long season of fucking up cold opens over and over and over.
How many blunts do you think you smoked all season?
Oh, that's a great question. We should estimate and then go back and count and see how close we were. Okay, how many blunts do you think we smoked this season? You guess first.
Well, we usually smoke a blunt before the episode, and then we usually smoke one after too, and then you smoke one during. And I smoke one during, so probably 3 per episode.
3 to 4 per episode, I would say.
And I can't.
How many episodes have we had? 10, something like that.
What's the math?
I'm gonna guess
40.
I'm gonna guess 50.
Okay.
Right? Seems fair.
We'll do a fact check.
Yeah, we'll do a fact check after
Tara,
this.
how many blunts did we smoke?
She doesn't know. Don't put Tara on the spot like that. So the next clip that we're going to watch is from one of my favorites and the only live episode I think that Queens has ever done in the 2 seasons of existence. Certainly the first live one I've ever done. And it was at South by Southwest, which was just a few weeks ago.
I was sitting front row for that one.
You were sitting front row for that one. Yeah, helping behind the scenes. Basically Matt, Antony, and Tara just do everything behind the scenes, and then I just show up and I'm like, I'm ready for my close-up.
She's talent, you guys.
I'm talent. So we went to South by Southwest and we talked about Texas cannabis laws, which are fucked up.
You can't smoke.
You can't smoke, right? At all. It's just
CBD.
We were smoking blunts openly when we were in Texas, and everybody was like, "What are you doing?"
The last night of the hotel that we were staying at, one guy saw me smoking and was like, "If that's marijuana, you need to put that out. It is not legal here."
Whoa.
And I was like, "Okay, we just smoked a blunt with a security guard and told him what cannabis company."
Okay, literally, we were smoking a blunt in the parking lot of our hotel, and a security guard comes up to us and we're like, "Fuck, he's gonna get mad at us." And then he was like, "What are you guys smoking?" Anthony was like, "Weed. Do you want some?" And I'm telling you, within fucking 5 minutes, the security guard who came to tell us to shut up because we were being too loud was Anthony's best friend.
Oh
and they
God.
were chatting and hanging out.
You gave him investment advice, so he's gonna go.
It's probably not good. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
I was wearing glasses, so he believed it.
Yeah, and it's your tech look makes you seem smart. It's good. So another favorite episode that I did that was live at South by Southwest was with Michelle Taylor and Elizabeth Nichols. Michelle Taylor is the owner of the Zella company, which is a interior design company, and she also has lupus, and so she uses CBD as a treatment for her lupus, and has been a real activist for medical cannabis in Texas. And then my other guest on that show was Elizabeth Nichols, who is the chairman of the board of the Texas Cannabis Industry Association. It's my second take having to do that one because I messed up the words. So this was a really interesting podcast because we sort of had 2 different perspectives. One was the legal perspective of laws in Texas about cannabis, which are incredibly strict and very stupid. It's very much not legal there. And the other perspective that we had was from somebody who has a chronic illness and uses this actually medically. And so we sort of had the personal and then the legal perspective. And it was super interesting. So,
apparently Austin's really liberal. So they're cool with the CBD and it's kind of okay to smoke. I saw them selling out edible lollipops on the street, and I was like, there's a cop right there. Is that legal?
Yeah, it's not legal, and it's not even decriminalized, but I feel like in Austin during South by there was a lot of blind eyes being turned. They were kind of like, oh, it's probably a cigarette.
I mean, we had a THC CBD dinner, and I was rolling joints at the Zella house.
There was a THC CBD dinner there?
Yeah.
Ooh,
for Mary
that sounds
Jane.
fun.
Me and Crystal, we Arcane Revelry, we put it together.
Wow. I'm sad that I missed that. I
I'll
left South by too early for that. Anyways, so check out this part of the episode that we did at South by. It's kind of an example of not only what's happening in Texas, but what is happening around the country in places that aren't like California and Colorado, basically. So check it out. As most of you probably know, and as I found out on Google just last week when I was researching, cannabis is not legal in Texas. What is legal, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you have epilepsy and you have tried 2 or more pharmaceutical medications that have not worked for you, then you can get a medical marijuana prescription if you have 2 signed physician's notes. Is that right?
Correct. It's intractable epilepsy. It's a specific type of epilepsy, and only out of the entire population in Texas, only 160,000 people have it. So it's a very specific type of epilepsy, but you're not getting regular medical cannabis. What you're getting is really, really low THC. It can't be more than 0.5 in THC and mostly CBD.
Now, is that in the form of an oil or is that flour?
It's oil.
It's oil only. Okay.
Yes.
And so of the people who, the population that has intractable epilepsy in Texas, how many of those people, if you know this, have a medical marijuana prescription for this CBD?
600.
600 out of how many again?
160,000.
Wow. Okay, so 600 out of 160,000. That is very few.
You have to get 2 doctor recommendations in the entire state. There's only 45 doctors who are registered to write the recommendations.
Wow.
And so geographically, Texas is a huge place, and sometimes there's no doctor around you to write the recommendation, and you can't drive all the way across the state to find one.
I see. And so the barrier is sort of it's a distance issue, and it's just a lack of resources issue.
It's incredible. The oil that they create is incredibly expensive.
Now, how is this oil created? Where is this created?
So there are 3 licensed providers who can grow this specific high CBD, low THC plant, and then they create it into an oil and originally there were going to be 12 licenses. The state decided that no, for these 160,000 people, we're going to only give you 3 licenses. One of from my understanding, only 2 of those license holders are operating right now, and they're not, you can't make any money. You've got 600 patients statewide.
Right, who only need so much CBD each. And then, so it's literally only 2 licenses to make the medication at all.
Right. There's 3, but
3.
2 are
2 are using them.
2 are operating.
Wow. Okay, so that's like an extremely restricted medical marijuana program then. That's is it the most restrictive in the country?
I would say yes, definitely.
Okay. And so, Michelle, you live in Texas, is that right?
I do.
And so living in Texas, what has your experience been like with trying to get, medical CBD for a chronic illness that is, like you said, very difficult to diagnose and something that's really tough?
It has been an uphill battle, and at this point, it's almost, I have to wait for legislation to pass.
Oh, wow.
At this point. Because
so you haven't been able to even get it?
No. Again, lupus is so difficult in its symptoms, and sometimes it can present itself as other autoimmune diseases. So because of the variety of the strains of lupus and how it's categorized, it's not even a candidate. It's nowhere near a candidate.
Right. So speaking of cannabis law, another episode that we had, it was one of our earlier episodes in season 2, and it was one of my favorites. I guess these are all one of my favorites.
Yeah. They're all your favorite.
Yeah, they're all my favorite. I love them all equally, just like my children.
It's because you're in it?
It's because I'm in it, because I get to look at my beautiful face. No, after the episodes when our sound guy, Kenobi, is playing back the episode and I have to hear my own voice, I always walk in and I'm like, no, turn it off. I can't.
Have you ever watched the full episode?
No, it gives me so much anxiety. I literally can't do it. Like, there's so many podcasts that I've been on and I've never listened to. Like, I cannot handle it.
Yeah, I don't like my voice either.
No, it
I
gives
feel
me
that.
like terrible anxiety. So I hope I don't sound shrill and awful, but I might, and I'll never know because I can't listen to my own voice.
I sound like a dumb bitch.
The other day, Antony sent me a meme that was like, things that I am, dumb, and a bitch, things that I'm not, a dumb bitch.
That was a good one.
I've been thinking about it nonstop. So anyways, speaking of cannabis law, the next episode that we want to talk about is the episode with the 420 lawyers, who are a group of all female lawyers who specialize in the cannabis space. So like criminal law, laws for getting permits for dispensaries, and things like that. So we got a couple of questions that we fielded from the audience to ask them, just basic questions that any weed smoker would want to know about the legality of weed. And they had some pretty good answers.
Yeah.
Legal questions about weed that maybe you guys could answer. And so I'm sure you guys get questions like this like constantly. Sorry if it's annoying, but
Not
so
annoying.
the first question we have, which is honestly one that I have too, is what to do if you get pulled over while you're driving while stoned. What are the laws? How do you react to the police officer? Like, what do you recommend your clients in that situation?
Well, first, we would recommend not driving stoned.
Okay, yes.
Number one.
Number one, for sure.
Number two, if you are going to carry cannabis in your vehicle, it should be in a sealed container in your trunk, out of reach. This has been the rule for forever, so don't have it visible or smellable.
Right, don't put it in your cup holder. Don't leave roaches and wherever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you're smoking while driving, so if you're like visibly with the joint or a vape pen in your mouth and a police officer sees you, that's going to make the case against you much stronger.
Right.
So that's something to be mindful of.
So, like, say I got pulled over and I did have a joint in my hand. Would it be better for me to throw it out the window? Or should I just put it out and put it in the cup holder and hope for the best?
If you throw it out the window, there's another law that you're
okay,
violating.
I thought so.
And it's not just littering, but specifically throwing a butt out the window is like 8
like
hours of community service.
Oh,
you don't want that.
Wow, I did not know that. Yeah, I had no idea. That's really good information.
So don't throw butts out your window.
Okay,
because
got
you don't
it.
want to do 8 hours of community
Yeah,
service.
definitely not.
And
So the cop pulls you over. Let's say you're not smoking weed. Let's say you're just stoned, right?
or it smells
or it
in the car
smells.
because you just smoked or
Yeah.
whatever.
So then the cop comes up to your window. What do you recommend from there?
Well, if he's gonna ask if you smoked, you would tell them no.
Yeah.
Or I don't.
I
assert my right to remain silent.
Yeah.
You don't want to lie
Yeah.
to the officer. You don't want to, but you do have a right under the Fifth Amendment to remain silent. So
And you have to say that
Right.
in order to assert it.
Right. So it's the Fifth Amendment. Like, I'm asserting my right to remain
Say,
silent.
thank you, officer, for your duties. I assert my right to remain silent.
Yeah, that's from a young age. The main piece of advice that my father gave me was don't talk to cops. You don't have to talk to cops. Never talk to them.
Yes,
So that makes
exactly.
sense. So you assert your right to
Another
remain
making
silent.
a murderer last
Yeah, right. Exactly. I listen to a lot of true crime. I'm always like, if they tried to get me in a false confession, like I would know what to do. Like I got this. Like, so then, are the cops in California or like Los Angeles specifically? Do they give you some sort of test to see if you're stoned? Is there like a weed breathalyzer type of thing? I remember they were shopping a new device.
Well, there's always the blood test. I mean, we could talk about that in a little bit. And then what they're trying to kind of roll out in some counties is like a breathalyzer version, but like a buccal test, like a swab cheek in your cheek. But that hasn't been tested in court yet, so as sound scientific evidence.
Right.
But that's just kind of something they're working on. But for blood, if you test positive THC in your blood, which you, by the way, could possibly do for like months, I think 2 months or something.
I think
it's
it's three, yeah.
3 months. It stays in your blood for a long time. So if you had smoked 3 months ago, you could test positive and they can accuse you of DUI.
Right.
But that's also why it's a lot easier to defend a cannabis case because
of that information.
It's not like alcohol where you will
Right.
0.08%.
And then the next day you're totally 0%.
Yeah, there's no magical number.
Right.
And so here this and the blood test on alcohol will tell you when you drank alcohol too.
Right. But it's not the same for THC. It's a totally different thing.
And the prosecution has to prove that
right.
you were under the influence and it affected your driving.
So then is it like relatively uncommon for these cases to be like pursued even? Like for people to get these tests on the side of the road or be taken to the sheriff's station for a blood test?
I've seen a few, but I've seen a lot of them don't end up getting filed.
Okay.
Like they'll get their ticket and then nothing
happens
be charged.
at court, right?
But
the thing is when you take, so the alcohol, it gets absorbed into your system, and then they take a breath test, and that, breath test will indicate your blood alcohol content, and whether you take the breath test on the side of the road or you say, no, I don't want to take it on the side of the road because you don't have to,
right.
or you take it at the station, it's generally within about an hour, and the alcohol, if you're over 0.10, is probably still in your blood. Cannabis, on the other hand, there's active levels of THC and inactive levels. And I think it's like 0.05 nanograms is inactive. And so if you're a habitual smoker, you probably always have at least 0.05 nanograms in your blood.
But the active would be like if you had smoked in the past couple days?
No, it would be... So that's the thing. It could be like in the past hour.
Oh, okay.
So if you smoked, let's say, an hour before you got in the car, then you got in the car and you're kind of coming down from your buzz. By the time they got you to the blood, because they have to take you to like a nurse's station or a hospital to take your blood.
I see.
And so several hours arguably could have already passed, and so
you won't have the active levels in there anymore.
You won't have the active levels in there.
See.
So just not making any statements is key. Not having, we have guys who like have the bong like and then in the center console, and then like the cop touches it and it's like still warm,
right. Just be smart about it.
Yeah, so as long as it's not like visible, and you control for smell, you don't make any statements, and
don't talk to the cop.
There are a lot of people that admit to cops.
A lot of people they'll just be like, or they'll say I smoked 6 hours ago, and it's like, why are you saying that? Just don't say anything.
I've heard a lot of advice like, if you're just honest with them, like they'll be nice. No, don't say anything to the cops. Like never talk to them. Absolutely. Like don't talk to the cops. So don't take any roadside tests. Don't say anything. Assert your right to remain silent.
Right.
Like basically, and then contact you guys.
The roadside test won't really work against you if you haven't been drinking.
Right.
So if you take a breath test and you blow it 0.00 because you haven't been drinking, that could probably help.
And there is no roadside THC test really, besides maybe this cheek swab thing, which you can refuse.
Yeah. Everything on the road you can refuse.
Right. It's just once you get to the station.
Once you get to the station,
that makes
breath
sense.
Or blood.
Right.
If you refuse that, then you really limit whatever case they have against you.
Right.
But the DMV won't care, though. If you refuse the one at the station, you'll have your license suspended for a year.
Okay. So at the station, you probably should take it because otherwise you won't get to drive for a year, depending on what you're like.
Yeah.
Or you should just Uber for a year.
I would say it's a case by case.
I do Uber for a year.
Yeah. So that was some helpful advice from the 420 lawyers. You should check out their website and give them a call if you're ever in legal trouble, because that's their job.
They're California.
They're in California.
West Hollywood?
I think it's West Hollywood. Yeah. So, I mean, you probably won't get busted for weed in California because it's legal, but if you ever have any other issues.
I would want them to protect me, to be honest.
Same. They were like extremely on top of their shit. I would certainly call them if I ever had weed-related crime on my record, which luckily I've never had.
Follow them at 420 Attorneys on Instagram. They have a cute account.
Very nice. So on a little bit of a lighter note, or at least like a little bit of a more creative note, we had an episode with the band Potty Mouth. They are a group of young women who are a punk band, and they're fucking awesome, and I want to be all of their best friends, and I love them.
They had sick outfits, too.
They had sick outfits, that's true. Yeah, they were very cute. There's like there's some cute behind-the-scenes photos of us that I don't think we've posted yet. I should post those.
I feel like if you guys were to grow up together, you would have been in their band.
You think so? See, like, I come from a family of musicians, and I never really played music, and my mom was always like, why aren't you playing music? And I was like, I just like don't really want to, and then I just never did.
Are you more of a dancer?
No. Are you a dancer?
Yeah, I can get down with the get down.
Yeah? I literally became a writer so I wouldn't have to like go on a stage or talk to people on a microphone, but then here I am.
Oh, I feel you. Okay. I'm with it.
I learned eventually, hopefully. I mean, I could be terrible at this. I never listen to my own voice, like I mentioned. So who knows? Don't tell me if I'm bad, though. I don't want to hear it. Please keep it from me.
Leave it in the comments on the YouTube video.
Don't leave any mean comments. I prefer to be lied to, please. I'm very delicate. So we talked to Potty Mouth about making music and getting stoned while you make music, and then doubting yourself creatively, and a variety of other things that young female and I guess all creatives go through at some point in their life. So check it out. Awesome. So do you guys smoke weed in your day-to-day lives? Does that have anything to do with your songwriting process? Or is your songwriting process totally devoid of weed?
Yeah, I don't smoke a lot of weed like every day. It's more like a recreational thing for me. And I have tried to smoke weed and write. And I, one of our like early songs called Drip Dry, I wrote when I was really high with our old guitarist Phoebe. And it definitely is like a fun way to, I don't know, like break out of my normal system of songwriting, but in general I feel like it just makes me feel too goofy to like be able to sit down and focus.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. I've definitely felt that way in my life as a writer. Like it can be, I think at this point I've inoculated myself enough that I can like do anything while I'm stoned, but it takes some time, I think. What about
for
you?
me it's the opposite. I love weed. I smoke it all the time.
You're in the right place.
I smoke weed to help myself be more functional. It helps me like dial down all of the chatter in my brain. I'm someone who has a lot of anxiety. I am in my head all the time. And so when I get stoned, like I'm the type of person, like I like to go to a yoga class when I'm stoned because it's when I feel the most present and like able to really focus my thoughts and my energy on the one thing that I, am aiming to focus on. And it also really does help me with playing music. I remember like the first time I ever played a show while I was high, it wasn't with Potty Mouth, it was with my old band, Aunt Honeysuck. And I remember feeling like I went into this like survival mode of like fight or flight because it felt like so challenging in a way to play the songs, but not in a way where I was like fucking them up. Like I was like, I felt like so hyper focused on doing everything right that I almost feel like
taking up your whole headspace as opposed to being like part of it where there's a lot of chatter going on.
And I was like, whoa, like how am I doing this right now? Like how am I playing this? And it's so fast, and I was just gonna keep going. And
it's like limitless, right? Like you just smoke the weed and suddenly you can do everything. Everything's going in slow motion. You can just.
But now, like now that I've become more accustomed to playing music that way, it just is. It feels like it's just my preferred way to play music because I'm also someone who, I doubt myself a lot, and I don't doubt myself so much when I'm stoned. Like because like that chatter in my brain that is telling me that I suck and this and that, what I have to do tomorrow, whatever, it's all just totally dialed down.
Yeah. Ooh, Anthony, I think you're going to like our next episode. Can you guess what it is?
Oh my God. Is it about me?
Yes. It's the episode where we talk about Anthony's childhood. No, it's not.
No, I didn't have that. That's third season.
Yeah, that's going to have to be like our third season premiere. Like Anthony tells us his life story. He used to live in Alaska. Isn't that weird?
I hated it.
Snowy. Yeah, it
it's
sounds
really
like a
pretty, but no, I'm good. I smoked the Northern Lights though.
You smoked the Northern Lights?
Yeah, like the weed.
Oh yeah, I smoked that too.
The first time I smoked weed was in Alaska.
Have you seen the Northern Lights?
Yeah.
Are they crazy?
From my balcony. Yeah.
Moving on. So the episode that you were on, Anthony, was you and Janice Griffith.
Yeah, I love her.
Who is an adult performer and a weed smoker / enthusiast and a wonderful woman. And I love her so much.
Buy her fleshlight.
Buy her fleshlight. We'll link that anywhere that we possibly can, everywhere, because you should buy it for sure. I have one in my house that I think I put some fake flowers in, and it's like a nice vase.
Artsy,
it's cute.
Really
We also turned one into a bong. That was really fun. We can't do that as a flashback because it's not technically an episode of Queens, but we did make a fleshlight into a bong.
We'll teach you how to do it.
And we'll teach you how to do it. Let's check out this clip of you and Janice giving advice to somebody whose girlfriend has a horse fetish, and he cannot really get into it.
Been there, done that.
Really?
No.
Anyways. All right. Question number 1. Are we ready? Can we get a drum roll? Okay. My girlfriend wants me to act like a horse when we have sex, and I'm not into it at all. So, tiny bit of backstory. My girlfriend of 6 months loves horses, has all her life. An additional, seemingly relevant point is that during sex, sometimes she says stuff like, "Fuck me with that horse cock." I've never thought much of it. I thought that was just a way of her saying it's big. But say that. It's true. But she's starting to take it further, and it's turned into a bit of a fetish that I'm not entirely comfortable with. A few days ago, she told me she wanted to role play, and at first I was on board, but then she said, "as horses." I laughed, thinking it was a joke, but she took it the wrong way and said she was tired and went right to sleep. Trying to make her feel better, I said I'd do it the following day. Honestly, it was okay, but still very, very weird. She got so into it and said it was the best she'd ever had, and then next time she wanted to buy costumes and maybe do it on some hay. I told her no, I didn't want to do it again, and now she's back to being mad at me. Am I being a dick here? I don't know what to do. All right. What advice do you guys have for the horse guy?
I don't want to kink shame.
Okay, no kink
I'm
shaming.
going to start with
No
that.
kink shaming.
Yep. If you're into horses, you're into horses.
I'm a
Chill.
kink shamer.
You're a kink shamer.
I'm a huge
okay, so
kink
really
shamer.
180 on that. You were like, I'm not into kink shaming. I'm a kink shamer.
I said I'm not going to kink shame.
Oh, but
them.
you're into it generally.
Yeah, but
Okay.
generally, I
are.
have very strong opinions on certain kinks.
And so, what is your opinion on this certain kink, though? Because
Oh
I'm
my
curious.
God.
You could say it in like a not mean way.
No, I can't.
Because I'm not a kink shamer. I think you should, if you're into horses, like have
You have
fun.
to be open-minded.
Well, I think it's fine, and there's a lot of really like cool like fetish like leather like horse bits and like ears
Aesthetic
and
stuff.
Cute.
Yeah, yeah, and like leather like hoof
Or like when
gloves,
horses wear those like blindfold
blinders.
masks.
Oh,
yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
the hooves,
That's
like,
very
the
BDSM.
blinders with a bit and the
Yeah.
hooves. Like it's like aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like
I like the dog ones though.
the dog ones are way better because
Yeah,
you
the
can like
dog ones are,
walk
like, a little bit
people.
cuter
True.
with the leash.
Yeah, right.
I just think that a lot of people try to make sexual incompatibility work. You know, and you just don't have to.
Right.
And I think that you might be scarring yourself later on with you know like you did consent to have this experience, but it doesn't mean that you wanted it.
Right. You tried it. It's not for you.
And
like,
it still might suck to experience. And putting yourself in that position over and over again where someone is asking this of you and, you know, you aren't enforcing a very strong boundary because you care about them or you love them or you don't want to hurt
Shame
their
them
feelings.
or-
Yeah, exactly. So it's...
Yeah. It sounds to me like this girl needs a dude who is into horses.
I
and
think
this
she
guy
just
is
needs
not.
to go online. She needs to
she
go
needs to find
online
someone
and
who's
find a
Find
horse
somebody,
guy.
yeah.
Do you agree with that, Anthony?
I would say you have to be open-minded, and if you know,
You did try it, though.
He did
there's
try.
like, well, I would be like more
He drew
open-minded.
the line at hey,
How-
dude.
so what would you do then?
He
I
drew
would
the
be
line
like,
at
let's
hey.
get some like ketochloride, which is a horse tranquilizer, and I'd be like, let's do this,
Okay, but like...
So
and then go
ketamine.
into a K-hole, and then never have to worry about it.
Let's do this other horse thing instead. Let's like really role play as horses.
Yeah.
Get into the mind of the horse.
Yeah, with
By
drugs.
Of an
doing
anxious horse,
It's
of an
very
aggressive
spiritual
horse.
thing for your relationships. If
Maybe
you guys
the horse
both
is
realize
going to
horses
ketamine
aren't
therapy.
for you guys.
Okay, so your solve for this is one,
Be a
develop a
horse.
ketamine addiction. Two, get in such a K-hole that you can just fuck like a horse and that's fine, right? Is that basically what you're saying?
Well, it's a disassociative, so you could just like fall into a K-hole and then not
I'm
be a
glad we
horse.
have two
All right.
sides of this very
Very good.
Yours is a
All
little
right.
bit more realistic, but
Wow.
if there's
okay.
drugs, go for it.
I'm just
Well.
saying, I do ketamine every week with a doctor.
And do you fuck like a horse afterwards?
No.
So that's not like a natural result of doing ketamine? Is
have
fucking
to
like
tell
a
you,
horse?
never thought I was a horse.
Never thought you were a
even-
horse. Wow. This to me, I will say, feels like the logical result of like a horse girl, right? Like this is like
We're
a
all
horse girl
thinking
gone
it.
way too far.
We're all
Like-
thinking it.
Like
Like-
no one stopped her and this is what happened.
But like, what about cowboys?
That's not a horse fetish.
That's not a-
I mean, it could be, I guess. It could be.
Cowboy and horse girl are not like the same
Not the same thing.
thing. It's
All
like a
right.
booty call and a butt dial are not the same thing.
All right, next question. Okay, so this is our last clip. Anthony,
That was so funny. It's about the last clip.
That last clip with Antony and Janice was so funny.
I'm still laughing. Oh my God, we need to stop laughing. It's so good.
Holy fuck.
Watching that when I get home.
Wow, I recommend this read. Thank you, Green Angels. Good job on this one. The peanut butter breath, A+. Really great. Oh boy. Okay, so that clip was fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't have a horse fetish, do you?
Not anymore.
Not anymore? Okay,
Yeah.
so you used to.
It was like a thing.
It was like a thing,
like
yeah.
I was like 12.
I do like on weekends sometimes.
Like, horses are expensive to ride.
That's true. It's
Yeah.
like too expensive
It's like
of
a
a
rich
fetish.
person thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. You're right. So our last clip I know is one that you were very excited about.
Yeah.
We had Sheena Shea, who is on the show Vanderpump Rules.
I love that show, by the way. I've been a huge fan.
You're a huge fan?
You have to watch it next. We're going to get you to watch it, but like we should definitely go out to Tom Tom with her.
Yeah, I want to go to Tom Tom with
If
her.
you're
I should hit
listening
her
to
up.
this, Sheena,
Take us to Tom Tom.
whoop whoop.
She was lovely. We had a really nice conversation. She's like a blunt smoker like me, which I always appreciate. And she was telling us about her experience of freezing her eggs. Now she was like, I want to
She's
freeze
smart.
my eggs. Yeah, very smart,
She's got
right?
money. Like, go
yeah.
for it.
Yeah, true. It's like if you've got the money to do it, it's like it takes that issue away. You don't have to like think about it. You know, you don't have to be like, I didn't have a baby right now if you're like dating a shithead or something. Like,
Except I did like see on the news one time that like somebody like at a place where they freeze all the eggs, it lost power, so like everybody lost their frozen.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
They
and,
probably
like,
got sued
yeah,
real
they-
bad,
yeah,
right?
I forget what state it was, but they all got sued.
That's fucked up. That's real
Yeah.
fucked up. God damn, I'd be pissed if that happened to me. Getting an egg like drawn is so arduous and difficult. Like you have to be on. Well, anyways, Sheena will explain how all that works. And it does involve quitting weed, which is horrible. So check it out. That is fucked up. So speaking of Taco Bell, this is obviously a cannabis show. And I'm interested in what is your history with cannabis? Do you, and obviously you smoke weed now.
Yes, I do.
have you smoked for a while? What is your relationship with cannabis like?
Probably for the last like 7 years on a regular basis. I recently had to give weed up for 50 days, and that
Why?
was the longest. I froze
my
my
God.
eggs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's like a big thing with fertility.
You can't smoke weed.
So
What was
I
that
go
like?
from smoking every day for the last 7 years. So
Right.
like they're like, no, this ends today, and I was like, you mean
Wow.
like tomorrow? They're like, today, and I was
Wow,
like,
so you went cold
oh,
turkey.
Cold turkey.
And how was that
I
terrible?
was fine.
You were fine.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, at least
Wow.
I'm not dependent on
Right,
it.
right. I
I'm
mean, I
not
guess
having
it is-
withdrawals. I was
Right.
a little irritable the first couple days because it was
Yeah.
also around the holidays. So
Well,
I'm
that'll
at
do it,
Christmas
yeah.
parties. I can't drink. I can't get high.
no.
I'm just looking at all of my friends be idiots, and I'm the sober driver.
Wow.
So
It's essentially like being pregnant,
yes,
right?
that's what I felt like.
Wow.
I had to treat my body as if I was pregnant.
Wow. And so how was
So,
that experience? Were you just were you freezing them just for yourself, just in like
Yeah,
in case?
I'm single. I'm divorced. I'm almost 34. It was recommended that if I do ever want to have kids one day, it's something I should do. So
Okay.
I did, and it was a great experience. It was really easy,
Yeah?
like painless. Like the needles, none of that bothered me. So
Okay.
I've heard horror stories, but for
Right.
me, it was totally chill.
It was totally okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay,
yeah, I
interesting.
had to stop smoking for 50 days.
Wow. So Anthony, how does it feel to go back and watch these episodes after putting so much hard work and sweat and blood and weed into all of these episodes for the last 5 to 6 months?
I honestly didn't really know what podcasts were.
Until
And
you started here?
Yeah, I just started podcasting. Like
Whoa.
officially.
Wow. What did you think they were?
Like Jesus books.
Jesus books?
That you listen to, like audiobooks or some random shit.
You thought a podcast was a Jesus book?
Well, that's what like my old neighbor used to make me listen to in the car with her kids, and I would hate it, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, this is like."
Wait, like it was like an audiobook of the Bible?
Yeah, but like kids friendly.
Like a kid friend.
Yeah, like it was like telling the Bible stories, but like really exciting, and I was like, "You cannot bump this."
Wow. Yeah, that does suck. Well, I'm glad that's not what podcasts are. That would suck really bad. But it's been a long journey and a wild ride. You can check out all of our old episodes on Apple Podcasts and on maryjane.com and on Mary Jane's YouTube channel and on Westfest TV, which is a YouTube channel.
It's like everywhere.
I want to do a big shout out to Antony, who's lovely.
Shut up. Thank you. You get all the credit. This is like your
Nuh-uh.
whole show. You got us to Texas. Like people wanted to work with you.
The show would be
like,
nothing without you and without everyone behind the camera.
Everyone, you guys can't see, but Tara,
Matt,
Mike
and
was here, Kenobi,
and Mike.
all the angels that came through with the
shout out
weed.
to the Green Angels. They're the ones who provided the weed, which is vitally important for this show.
If we didn't have that would.
Yeah, I mean, well, where would we be without without the
I don't
weed.
think they would let us film if you weren't smoking.
Yeah, that'd be weird, right?
They'd be like, they're not even high.
Yeah, like Queens of the Stone Age, they're not even stoned.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Like, yeah, no, you get made fun of.
Yeah, I get made fun of for sure. Yeah, now I never get made fun of. Just kidding. Well, it's been a lovely season, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.
I'm chilling with the Queens of the Stone Age.